Hey all, DT Neal here, talking to you about writerly things, storytelling, genre, fantasy, science fiction, all that good stuff. I'm thinking a little bit about heroes and villains, and it feels to me, maybe I'm wrong, but it feels to me that we're in this realm where people aren't comfortable with either heroes or villains. You know, somebody who's too good to be true, and somebody, they don't want people to be too bad either, like outright villains. They prefer antiheroes, people in that nebulous gray space between heroism and villainy. And while on some level one could argue there's perhaps a degree of realism in that, and like the line where they say every villain is the hero of their own story. But I think that there is room for true villains, for absolute villains who are terrifying and even in some ways charmingly villainous. People for whom, or characters in this case, they want what they want, and they don't care how many people get hurt in the process of them getting what they want. And somehow in the last, 25, 30 years, there's been this trend, I think, where people are less comfortable with moral absolutes or immoral absolutes. And the idea, people always think, well, they want to know, well, why did this person go bad? Like that whole effort, and I'm using a cinematic example because it's easy. People wanting to get behind the curtain, like, well, why did Michael Myers turn out to be so bad, so evil? Who hurt him to make him like that? And I think there's something lost in that, in the idea of I think there's an opportunity for not explaining away villainy. You know, so-and-so had an abusive childhood, and then that led them to become murderous, villainous, whatever. Keeping it more abstract, less concrete, less explained away is part of what makes a villain terrifying. You don't know where they came from, why they are the way they are. They just, turn out that way. And similarly with heroes, a hero, is somebody, instead of somebody who's just villainous and horrible, there's somebody who is doing a good thing and taking that risk that no one else is willing to take. Where'd that come from on somebody? That's why a hero can come from anywhere and a villain can come from anywhere. And while anti-heroes can be fun, I think there's a certain moral relativism that comes into play with anti-heroes that lets characters, lets writers off the hook in terms of accounting for, they're not really good, but they're not really bad. There's that, there's a tepid nature to that, which I think, versus absolute villainy, which is, at least in the context of a story, more delightful. It's more entrancing when you see a true villain doing what they're doing versus explaining away why a villain does what they do. So that's just my 2 cents. I enjoy a truly heroic character just as I enjoy a truly villainous character. And I like anti-heroes too. I like them all. They have their place. But I think abandoning heroism and villainy for just anti-heroism feels both very postmodern and very unsatisfying.